Hey there, art lovers. I'm Keith Zenda, broadcasting directly from Harare in sunny Zimbabwe. Today, I am diving into a captivating part of our exhibition that will be shown at Art International Zurich, where my Swiss-Zim Heritage fuses African and Indian artistic traditions, creating a beautiful harmony across cultures. It's all about ancestral wisdom, spiritual symbolism, and the natural world inspiring creativity. So let's explore these rich connections. First up, ancestral wisdom and spiritual guidance. African and Indian traditions both emphasize the guidance of ancestors, sages, and deities. Take my piece, Ancestral Guidance, for instance. It's all about ancestors leading the way. Similarly, Indian art often depicts gurus, rishis, and spiritual figures as channels of divine wisdom. Both cultures believe in unseen forces ensuring the safety of the living, like in my Ancestral Vigilance and the protective gods and goddesses, like Shiva and Durga in Hinduism. Next, let's talk about sacred symbols of power, the Tsvimbo and Indian scepters. In African culture, the totem, or mutupo in Shona culture, is a symbolic representation of ancestry. It's usually an animal, plant, or natural element that connects a family or clan to their forebears. It represents identity, protection, and spiritual connection, similar to the totemic animals in Native American and Australian Aboriginal cultures. African totems symbolize ancestry, protection, and spiritual identity, much like Vishnu's animal avatars and the Buddhist kakara, which represent divine guidance, protection, and lineage. The Tsvimbo, or staff, in Shona culture symbolizes power, wisdom, and ancestral connection, much like Vishnu's Gada, the Buddhist kakara, and the Rajdanda in Indian culture. It reflects divine legitimacy, leadership, justice, and spiritual protection across both traditions. These symbols, passed down through generations, embody continuity, wisdom, and divine legitimacy. Now, on to transformation and ritual destruction. In African art, Kubutsa Kirongo, or breaking the clay pot, symbolizes letting go, transformation, and spiritual renewal. This mirrors Indian rituals where clay pots are shattered, whether in funeral rites to symbolize the soul's liberation or in Krishna's playful stories representing rebirth. My piece, Kuputsa Chirongo, mirrors Indian traditions where breaking a pot symbolizes transformation, karma, and renewal. Like Maya in Hinduism, the shattered pot reflects the fragility of national identity. The fleeing figures echo samsara's endless struggle, much like the Kurukshetra war, where division leads to rebirth. Both cultures recognize destruction as a path to renewal, freeing the soul from earthly attachments. Let's not forget nature and sacred trees. The banyan tree in Indian art symbolizes immortality, wisdom, and the cosmic cycle. Similarly, Samson Kuvengua's dry tree sculptures evoke ancestral spirits and spiritual continuity. Nature serves as a bridge between the physical and spiritual realms in both traditions. Finally, let's groove into artistic flow, rhythm in music and visual art. Both Indian and African cultures have strong traditions of rhythm, repetition, and improvisation. African drum rhythms and Indian classical music share a focus on cyclical patterns and deep emotional connection. My dynamic brushstrokes reflect movement and rhythm, much like Dinyaneshwar Randhai's flowing woodcut embroidery lines. Animals hold deep spiritual and cultural significance in Zimbabwean and Indian societies, much like in Tonderai Mujuru's conservation-focused art. Zimbabwean totems like the lion and elephant mirror India's sacred animals like Ganesha's elephant, the cow, and the peacock. Both cultures see wildlife as ancestral guides and national symbols, with conservation tied to spiritual duty, creating a shared dialogue on nature, heritage, and protection. So, why does this theme work for Art Zurich? It highlights how African, and Indian artists transcend geographical boundaries, expressing shared spiritual and cultural themes through their work. Whether through ancestral wisdom, sacred symbols, ritual transformation, or nature's presence, our art showcases a deep interplay between tradition and modernity, the physical and the mystical. Thanks for joining me on this artistic journey. Until next time, keep exploring the world of art.